Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We started talking yesterday about competing in the area of faith and conviction, and those who are ahead and foremost in faith, who they are the one who understood the wisdom of the message of Allah, and they were humbled to the majesty of Allah and are mindful of His orders, and they competed in doing righteous deeds both on earthly matters and in worships to reach the hereafter. And today, inshallah, we will talk about competing in the area of prayer, where we find plenty of blessings and precious gifts in heaven for whomever was ahead in this area of competition. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made His gift to His servant in facilitating their ability to pray, and give him the gift of time, and the gift of patience, and the gift of ability to do more of prayer. So it was narrated in many ahadith what indicate that Allah prepared in heaven many blessings and gifts to the believers that will be related to their performance of their prayer in its ordained time. Just to have prayers in the ordained time, those servants will have a preference and a special place in Allah's heaven. Allah made the greeting from the angel to them according to their performance with the prayer time exclusively from all other obedience. Whoever misses these particular blessings will never be able to reach it with any other deed except prayer. So it is very obvious that performing prayers on time in its appointed time is essential and crucial to reach these special places in heaven and in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It was narrated by Abu Nu'aym on the authority of Abi al-Darda, may God be pleased with him, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, whoever hurries to his prayer, fearing that the appointed time would passes, Allah allocate heaven for him. And whoever left prayer preferring to do something else will never reach heaven with deeds of a whole year. Very profound hadith. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, whoever hurries to his prayer, fearing that the appointed time would passes, Allah allocate heaven for him. And whoever left prayer, preferring to do something else, will never reach heaven with deeds of the whole year. So it is very important to understand that performing prayers on time in its appointed time is crucial, and no other deed will make up for any irregularity in this area. My dear brothers and sisters, competing in the area of prayer can be materialized by being busy preparing for prayer before the time of the prayer arrives itself. So that competition in the area of prayer can be materialized and brought into reality by being busy preparing for prayer before the time of that prayer arrives. Like performing ablution, going to the mosque, waiting for the call for prayer, and all other deeds which indicate more care and preparation for that prayer. So it was narrated by Muhammad ibn Nasr that Umar ibn al-Khattab said, do not wait for prayer to be called for. Do not wait for prayer to be called for, by be ready for it and approach it in peace and humility. That is the word of Ibn al-Khattab, Umar ibn al-Khattab, may God be pleased with him. Don't wait for prayer to be called for, but be ready for it and approach it in peace and humility. So that's a preparation for the prayer before the time of the prayer itself arrives. And this actually is competing in the area of prayer. So being ahead in competing in the area of prayer is to try as much as you can to attend group prayer. Racing to group prayer is an indication of being ahead above the rest with regard to faith and blessings in this life and in the hereafter. It was narrated by Rifai on the authority of Uthman ibn Suhaib, on the authority of his father, may God be pleased with him, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the best of places on earth are the mosques. The best of places on earth are the mosque. And the best among who goes to the mosque is the one who goes first, who goes there first, and the one who is the last to leave. And whoever performs the most of group prayer is ahead in his faith. Again, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was given the avenue to be ahead in our faith and ahead in our status among the believer. He said the best of places on earth are the mosques, and the best among who goes to the mosque is the one who goes first and the one who leaves last. And whoever performs the most of group prayer is ahead in his faith, is ahead in his conviction. And the Imam is talking about a brother, Bahriya, who is sick right now, and he actually used to come to the mosque before anybody else, and also leave the mosque last after everybody leaves. And it is a habit that the Imam admired in this man, and sometimes he used to come before him to the mosque, and he waits outside so he would not interrupt his good habit and his dedication to be the first to come to the mosque for group prayer and the last to leave. May Allah give this brother health and recover him in the fastest time possible, so he can inshallah resume his habit and be with us in the future. So the Imam is saying we are now sitting in the most precious piece of earth, a piece of the most precious place on earth, which is the mosque, and that's why it is very important to be ahead in the and to be there first. So among what makes you first in the area of prayer is to be ahead, standing in the first line. That's another way of competing in prayer, to be in the first line, to be the first to come and to be in the first line of the prayer. And this area of competition, that the one who wins will be actually ahead to heaven, inshallah. So another way of being competing in prayer is to be ahead and foremost in standing in the first line, of the prayer. And it was narrated in correct hadith that the people of heaven will stand in lines, and these lines are 120 lines, and the closest among them to Allah is the best among them in this life to raise to do good, and the first is to the line of prayer. So those who are first in the line of prayer on earth will be among those in the front lines in heaven. As in heaven, as it was narrated in many hadiths, people will stand in lines, and these lines are 120 lines, and the closest among them to Allah is the best among them in this life to raise to good deeds, and the first is the first in line in the lines of prayers. For this reason, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, encouraged people to compete to reach the front of lines in prayer. The Prophet know the value, know the blessing and the rewards. So he was encouraging people to reach the front line in prayer. It was narrated by Abu Dawood and An-Nisa'i on authority of Abi ibn Ka'b, may God be pleased with him, that he said, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, led us in the morning prayer and asked, is so and so here? We said no. And he asked again, is so and so here? And we replied no. The Prophet said, these two prayers are the most difficult prayer for the hypocrites, Aisha and Fajr. So he was saying that he was asking for so and so, and is it here? And they said no. And if so and so is here, and they said no. And the Prophet said these two prayers are the most difficult prayers for the hypocrite, the Aisha and Fajr. And if you know what the blessing of these two prayers, you would come to it even on your knees. If you know the blessings of attending Fajr and Aisha prayer in the mosque, you will come on your knees. That is the word of the Prophet. The first line is where the angels stand, and if you know what kind of blessing it is in it, you would race for it. So when the Prophet was indicating the Aisha and prayer, Aisha and the Fajr prayer were the most difficult for the hypocrites, people used to, the companion used to fear for themselves not to attend these two prayers, so they would not be accused of being hypocrites. And this is what, this was their worries, and this was their concern. So the Prophet was mentioning that those two prayers are very hard for the hypocrite to come to and attend. And if you know, and he's directing the call to all the Ummah of Muhammad, if you know what the blessings of these two prayers, you would come to it even on your knee, and even if you are sick, and you will go creeping on your knee, crawling on your knee to reach these two prayers, Fajr and Aisha. And then the Prophet, peace be upon him, continues saying the first line is where the angels stand, and if you know what kind of blessing in this first line, you would race for it. You would race to be among the foremost in prayer lines. And the Imam is referring that some will actually race to the first line coming late, and they come pushing this one and pushing this one to reach the first line, and that actually earn them a lot of discredit. So if you want to be in the first line, come early and come and be ahead of everyone and be among the foremost in the first line, but not to push this one and push this one and to reach the first line when you come late. and the Imam is referring to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, that his love was love is prayer, and people ask him, we don't see you fast that much, but why you don't fast that much? And he said that I'm a weak man and my passion is in prayer. So he's weak man, he cannot really fast as much as he like to, but his passion is in prayer, and that's what he did the most. And so if you attend group prayer, then hurry so to catch the first takbir with the Imam, because it is the unsurpassed part of prayer and the most precious, is not to miss that takbir, the first takbir with the Imam. So if you attend group prayer, try to attend early so you don't miss this first takbir with the Imam, as it is the most precious. So this first takbirah of Jama'ah prayer is the most precious and the most important for you to catch. It was narrated by Imam al-Bazzar on the authority of Abi Darda that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, for everything a precious top, and the most precious top of prayer is the first takbirah, so hurry up to it and hold on it. The Prophet, peace be upon him, again saying, for everything there is a precious precious point, or a precious a high point, and the most high point or precious point of the prayer is the first takbirah, so hurry up to it and hold on it as much as you can. That's the word of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So very important, if you come to Jama'ah prayer, is to be there for the first takbir. So my dear brothers and sisters, among the most important in competing in the area of prayer is to be ahead and first to Jum'ah prayer, as this was ordered in as this an order from Allah in the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "Oh, who you believe, when the call is proclaimed to prayer on Friday, hasten sincerely to the remembrance of Allah and leave off business that is best for you if you but know." Very important verse in the Quran for those who don't know and come late and come lazy to Jum'ah prayer, as the Quran came in a clear verse saying, "Oh, you believe, when the call is proclaimed to prayer on Friday, hasten sincerely to the remembrance of Allah and leave off business that is best for you if you but know." So whoever reaches Jum'ah prayer before it is called for is among the foremost to good deeds, and whoever was ahead to Jum'ah prayer will be ahead in the major day of reward to meet his Lord and to see him in the finest hour. This will happen when Allah appears to his servant, allowing them to look at his majesty and being to look at the being of the Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that competition to Jum'ah prayer and being ahead to Jum'ah prayer will earn you a foremost place in the time that you will meet your Lord and being able to look at the face of your Lord Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we will continue inshallah tomorrow the same subject. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah bless you all. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters.